Hello again. My name is Robert Laboucane and I'm the president of RippleFX Limited, and we do Aboriginal awareness training. I've received a lot of inquiries about how reserves were created in Canada. So today I'm going to use an example and try to demonstrate how these reserves in Canada came to be. I'm going to use Treaty number 6, which runs from the foothills of the Rocky Mountains in Alberta over to the Saskatchewan-Manitoba border. Treaty 6 area is about 313,000 square kilometers. There are 17 First Nations in that group, and we have a lot of different First Nations communities, such as the Swampy Cree, the Plains Cree, Dakota. There are any number of these First Nations. Prior to the arrival of the newcomers in Canada, these First Nations had identified their traditional territorial boundaries, as you can see on the accompanying map here. And they were migratory people, they were travelers, and there was trade among these different groups, intermarriage, they even had treaties. In Treaty 6, the terms of the treaty indicated that each person of a particular tribe would receive 160 acres of land. As an example, if we have one tribe, say they have 406 members that are identified, at 160 acres each, they would receive about 65,000 acres. The government would then go to their traditional territory and survey out a reserve for them of 65,000 acres. A little bit later on, maybe 3 or 4 months later, after they had settled on the reserve, another group shows up that belonged to the same tribe. Let's say there's 76 in this hunting party. They go to the local Indian agent, they make a list of all of these people, and they say, "Where are my 160 acres of land?" It turns out that they now are owed 12,000 acres. But of course they just have the original 65,000 acres for the original 406 people. After 120 years, the original 76 people in the hunting party are now 1,500 members. And they want their land, 160 acres each. Now, they didn't get the 12,000 acres 120 years ago, but now this 1,500 people at 160 acres works out to 240,000 acres. Well, they went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, no, we're only going to give you the original 12,000. Now, they also came up with some kind of mystical and magical formula to determine the cost of the loss of use of those 12,000 acres by those 76 people. And they said, well, we're going to give you not only unoccupied, unencumbered Crown land for the 12,000, but we're also going to give you a cash settlement. Now, since there wasn't adequate unencumbered Crown land available for the original 12,000 acres that was owed to these people, they gave them cash. And with that money, they are then able to go to the private real estate market, a willing seller by a willing buyer, and pay cash for the land to replace the 12,000 acres they didn't receive. It's also interesting to note, they have the option of purchasing private property and converting it to a reserve, back to the Crown, reserved for them, or they can leave it in fee simple title. If you need more information, if you're curious about how all this came to be, you want more detail, then be sure to visit our website at RippleFX.ca, and we'd also like to hear from you in the comments below. Thank you very much.